Hello traders, and welcome to what I hope will be a motivating and inspiring interview with one of my top performing students, Paul. A little bit of background on Paul. He's been a student on the Learn to Trade the News course and daily mentoring service for several months now, and has seen a sharp improvement in his trading results. It's surprised me quite a lot just how impressive his transformation has been. So what I want to do in this short video is take the opportunity to interview Paul for 4 key reasons. The first one is to celebrate his success. I want you to all hear about how well he's doing, and to get that from the horse's mouth. It's success stories like Paul's, which gives me the greatest satisfaction. And as you know, my main motivation behind wanting to train as well as trade is to help others succeed in a similar way to Paul. Secondly, is to add some personal social proof as to what you can achieve through our training programs and a little bit of hard work. Thirdly, is to answer any commonly raised questions and challenges and concerns. And then finally, and most importantly, is to use the interview to help inspire and motivate other traders to do exactly the same as Paul and to take giant leaps forward in your trading progression stroke journey. So without further ado, let's get going with the interview and a few questions that I've lined up for Paul. So first and foremost, Paul, it'd be great to have a little bit of information about yourself with regards to your current occupation and a brief trading history prior to working with myself and Springboard Your Trading. But before we start, just wanted to say thank you very much for taking the time out of your weekend to do this. It's much appreciated from myself and no doubt the subscribers that are listening to this video as well.
Yeah, I mean, my background, I'm currently full-time in employment in IT. So I'm an IT technical consultant doing software development, really. But as you know, as I told you before, that I've always got, I've always had a real strong appreciation of wanting to be into trading, predominantly because I used to do like investments through the banks, as I spoke to yourself about. And it wasn't the fact that I didn't want to invest with the banks anymore. I'd rather take charge of my own finances and my own financial career, to be honest. So it's that driver that's really got me into the passion of wanting to trade. And obviously now through technology, it really opens the door to normal people to be able to get into the trading market. So that's really why I wanted to get into trading. And to be honest, I aspire to become a full-time trader. That's my real passion. That's where I really want to go. And obviously, trading your style is something I believe can get me that way.
Fantastic. And regards to your education, your historical education from trading education perspective, you mentioned that you've mainly focused, before we worked together, focused on the technical side. That's
correct. Yeah, I mean, predominantly I was purely just a technical trader. I've been trading since 2014, so not really a great deal of time. But I mean, ultimately it was just all technical stuff. I didn't even know the concept of fundamental trading, to be honest. It was purely in technical.
Yeah, and how were things for you from a results perspective? So you were obviously learning the technicals, pure technicals. How were things going for you by trading technically in the early days?
Well, for me, to be honest, it was, as I pointed out, it was always a bit of a mystery. 1 minute you could set up a fantastic technical opportunity, it was there presenting itself, it was great. And then all of a sudden, for no apparent reason, the technical trend would just totally go against you, and then you just get stopped out. And I always think, well, what's happening? Why is it moving that way? What looked a beautiful technical, a high test bar going down perfectly, and then all of a sudden it spike up higher, take you out, but then continue for some reason on the trend, and you'd have been picked out. So that was always a thing that was always annoying, to be honest. So consistency with the technical side of it, purely going technical, I didn't find there was consistency. You could just lose trades for no apparent reason.
Fantastic. Okay. Well, how was, obviously you mentioned before that you've started to pick up the way of, or the style of trading that I've been teaching you over the last few months, and that's mainly from a fundamental perspective. It's not ignoring the technicals, but it's introducing the fundamental side of trading. How have you found that learning about the fundamentals has helped your trading progress?
To be honest, it's really sort of demystified trading as a whole in general, to be honest. It's really cleared things up. I mean, it's black and white. There's an economic event. You look out for that economic event. You plan things on a Sunday evening. You know what's coming up for the week ahead. And then as long as your trade plan that you've put it into practice comes out on the day, then you just go ahead with it. And it's just literally, it moves in the direction that you wanted. So for me, there's no more technical, like, will it happen, won't it happen? If the result comes out, it's a decision that's already been made and you just trade that event. So it's great, really. And then it really is consistent.
Wonderful. So it's just giving you that little bit more clarity as to why the market's moving the way they do.
Definitely. I mean, before it was just like I say, it was just purely looking at charts, and it was like sort of. I know you've mentioned it before, a bit like black magic. Why does it do? You never appreciated why the markets were moving the way they moved. You just looked at a technical pattern and thought, great, I'll trade that pattern. Where now you look basically for a fundamental reason. I mean, we've had some great fundamentals this week break, and on a technical basis, they would have probably gone against the grain. But from what's happened on the fundamental markets, you can see exactly why it's done. So it's really demystified the reason why the market moved the way it did.
So would you say that the markets are moved more by fundamentals or more by technicals?
No, for me, the results from fundamental trading, it's a fundamental reason that makes the market move.
And do you dismiss your technicals now, or do you use them in supplement to what you've learned from a fundamental perspective?
Definitely. I mean, I don't give up on the technicals, because you can often see before an economic event, what I've found personally is that price action will move its way towards what may happen on the technical analysis. So as the market moves itself, it will then just open up and the economic event breaks, and the price action has set itself ready for that announcement. And often then you'll get like what's a high test bar appearing when the majority of the analysts are presuming the market's going to sell off, and then it will just happen. So you can see the technicals forming at the point of the economic event on the early time frames. So no, you can clearly use them in combination with each other.
Fantastic. And I think that's what I've tried to stress to yourself and others is we don't have to dismiss the technicals. We can still use them, but the technicals are more from a efficiency into the market from a timing perspective. But before that, it's really good to have a solid fundamental reason in terms of the currency pair you want to trade and the direction you want to trade it in. And then the technicals on top of that just help you with getting the efficiency into the markets. Time and time again, I've seen how technical levels will be fantastic and will be very responsive and reactive up until a fundamental news event happens, and then the technicals are completely blown out the water. So doing trading technicals purely, for me, I feel is a very inconsistent way, and as your results have shown, moving along to the fundamentals and combining that with your technicals, you've been able to iron out the inconsistencies in your results. So that's really pleasing for me as your trainer to see.
Yeah, definitely. No, I agree 100%. That's exactly what it's done. For me, the technical analysis on its own was just too inconsistent. Looking at the fundamental reason, setting yourself up off the back of an economic event, and like you say, just getting into the market at a fantastic price. It's been some of the best trades that I've done, to be honest, and it's really given me that consistency.
Wonderful. And I think that's the holy grail for any trader, isn't it? It's consistency. It's no good having a 5% month followed by a minus 5% month. We want to just be consistently making those profits every single month so we can compound our accounts. It's very frustrating to go to all the hard work of making a return to then give it back next month when the technicals stop working as effectively as they did the month prior.
I agree. I mean, without consistency, you have a lack of confidence. So consistency gives you the confidence. And for me, the economic events and trading them on the black and white analysis is what really allows your trading to have that confidence and conviction to place a trade. And that's really what fundamentals have done for me.
Yeah, I think you've hit the nail on the head there, because confidence can't be underestimated. The importance of having confidence is so important to a trader because it encourages you to push the button and to obviously stick with your trades through to seeing out a profit on most occasions. So confidence is a massively important thing. And when you understand why the market's moving the way it does, you're more likely to be confident in holding that trade. More so than the technicals, which are a little bit more black magic as to why they work. So you've touched upon a really important point there. And would you say your confidence has grown significantly since learning about the fundamentals?
It is. I mean, as you know, my ambition and my main driver is to move towards becoming a full-time trader. Would I have wanted to move to full-time trading as a technical trader? Me personally, no, because the consistency wasn't there. And often when you're setting out on that journey of becoming a trader, seeing your results fail for no apparent reason on technicals gives you that, can trading really happen? But obviously, as I'm seeing now from working with yourselves for the past few months, trading purely on the fundamental side of it is really giving that thing, actually trading does really work, and this is the way, what I believe, and from reading various things, articles you've sent out, this is the way the banks trade, and if it's not what they do, then it's the way, we should trade.
Yeah, that's a really, really good point there, because I know you're aspiring to be a full-time trader, and I'm sure it's not going to be too much longer before you're able to do that. But when you're making that transition from working full-time and getting a salary from your current job to then considering doing it full-time, obviously you've got to be fully confident in your ability to consistently make money from the markets. And with technical trading, of course, you're going to be very, very nervous to make that big step. Whilst with the fundamental aspect added in, you iron out the creases in your consistency, and that gives you the confidence going, no, actually, I'm very, very confident that most months I can squeeze a profit out. I just need to get to the point personally where that profit more than covers my bills and gives me the additional profit on top to obviously to give me the disposable income that I'm looking for trading to bring me.
Definitely. I mean, yeah, as you said, that's the main thing for me. It's all about trading to that 1% rule. So for me, really, it's just about generating a pot. I don't feel now that I don't have the skills. I feel the skills are there. I've traded, to be honest, the amount of losses that I've took, I know you'll go mad about this one, but they're very, very, for me personally, very infrequent now. It's every trade I place is pretty much a guaranteed win. And I know you can't become complacent in the market and take that on, but
Of course.
fundamentals really has given me that, confidence now, to be honest. And from my trade plans, the way I've traded, either the decision comes out to trade yes or no, and then based on that decision, you either place that trade, and that's what's really given me that confidence now. So yeah, definitely, the
Excellent.
fundamentals is the way.
Wonderful. So you've obviously gone through the course, the online Learn to Trade the News course, and you've done other courses in the past, mainly from a technical perspective. And I think there's many guys probably listening to this video that have done a similar thing, that have taken purely technical based courses. How does the Learn to Trade the News course compare to the other courses you've attended?
Yeah, I mean, like I said, I wouldn't dismiss any of the courses that I've taken, and every course as a trader is, it's always going to add knowledge to your skill set. So it's every course that I've done has always given me more insight and more openness to the markets. But again, like I've said to you, it was when I took the trading the news course that's really opened me up to the fundamentals, and it was my first introduction to fundamentals, and it's just become so clear, and it's black and white now, and it really is the way forwards. So much so that, as you know, I've recommended other colleagues who have been on the same technical courses as myself.
Yeah,
they've swapped over.
Yeah, no, definitely, and that's the highest form of flattery from my perspective, is when my students are recommending the course to other people, because that proves to me that it's working for them, that they are then that confident to go and suggest it to their friends, their peers, their family, etc., etc. So no, that comes as music to my ears.
Definitely. I mean, and the guy I recommended as well, he's also getting the similar results to me now, having been trading technicals, to be honest, a lot longer than me from what I understand. But now he's stepped onto the fundamental side, and it's producing him the same results. So there's something there. So it's brilliant.
Yeah, wonderful. It's absolutely brilliant to see. Now, in regards to value for money, because I know this is a hot topic of conversation amongst people that are considering doing the course, is with regards to value for money, how would you rate the course, the Learn to Trade course, and compare it to others that you've taken from a value for money perspective? Because that's always one thing that I personally find a bit of a challenge, is where to price the course, because I don't want it to be free, because I don't think people commit to something as much as when it's when you pay for something, but I don't want it to be so expensive that it makes it almost impossible to make a return on your investment. So what would your thoughts be, having invested in other courses? How would you say it's value for money?
Well, not knocking other courses, because obviously when you start out there as a new trader, you look for what you feel's a good course based on reputation of what you read on blogs and things like that.
Yeah.
To be honest, your course in general is a fraction of the price that any of the courses I've taken. So all the other courses have been, significantly, if not 10 times the price that I've paid for your course. And would I have got 10 times the results for their course? No, but I've got 100 times the results for your course. So value for money, it speaks for itself. It's extremely cheap, to be honest, your courses, but this is great for me, because it allowed me to get on there and do it as well, because it's all about putting that investment in, but it really gives you that chance to get your money back. And I've read a few reviews that people have said on the courses, and it's really true. You've only got to place a couple of trades, and you can get your money back after one trade. Obviously, that's dependent on what you want percentage of your account. But at the end of the day, it really is there that you will get value for money, and you will get a return on your investment. Not like some courses where you probably have to trade on a small account a couple of years, sticking to what they teach you on the courses, the 1% rule, before you can even get your money back. So no, your course is definitely value for money.
Brilliant, fantastic. Okay, so moving on to now the practicalities of learning or trading fundamentals. I get a lot of questions and concerns and challenges from other traders that they can't physically or they don't physically have the time to trade these news events. Bit of a misconception from my own perspective, because news events are happening all the time. But I just wanted to get your view on it, because you work full time, but you've still been able to take advantage of these news events. Not every single one, but the majority of them. So what would be your response to people that say they haven't got the time to trade the news, or wouldn't feel like they'd be able to take full advantage of the course content and that style of trading?
No, I mean, to be honest, the course content, regardless of whatever time frame you're trading, whatever background you are from your employment, the course itself will give you that insight to what fundamentals is. So that's one thing. So they could park that question and say, definitely, I will understand and I'll learn fundamentals. The other time is when they can put it into play. Now, obviously, most people work 9 to 5. So there are a lot of events breaking between the hours of 9 to 5. That's, as you pointed out, that will happen. That's the way. Yeah. But there are also events that are running outside of those hours, like, for example, from 6 o'clock to 11 or 10 o'clock, that time of things, for the New Zealand currency pairs. So you'll get a lot of events that break at those times where you can trade as well. I mean, to be honest, I've had some, as I pointed out to yourself, I had some very good results trading off the New Zealand pairs, which is one of the good pairs, because obviously that's a weak pair at the moment. So that's one of the currency pairs that I do look to trade those events. So no, there will always be economic events breaking all around the calendar, around all the time frames. So definitely you can place trades as a fundamental trader using your course.
Fantastic. And as you've seen from some of the trades that you've physically taken, is you don't need to take that many trades to generate quite a nice return, because some of these moves are 50 to 150 pips within a few minutes. So that's, with the risk management taught on the course, that's anywhere between 0.5% and 1.5% per trade. So 2 or 3 of those per month, and you've got a nice little return there, haven't you?
Definitely. You definitely. I mean, some of the best trades that I've taken, they happen within like 50 minutes. You place your trade, and it's not like a technical end of day trade where to move 50 pips or 100 pips on an end of day trade can seem like ages, because you've got to wait for that end of the day to close, the next bar to appear. But where on trading a fundamental approach, it's instant, really. Within 1 hour. I know you talk about 2 hours or 3 hours. It seems like a journey to get there to make the pips. But from someone coming from end of day, that's lightning anyway, to be honest. But yes, most of the trades, most of the big moves that obviously I've talked to you about happen within the first hour. So it's great.
And you can't underestimate how important that is on the psychological side of trading, the emotional side of trading. I think we've discussed about this many times, is that I used to be an end of day longer term trader, but as I've gone on to trade larger sums of cash, the stress has naturally gone. The stress of trading has naturally increased. So holding a position for longer means you're stressed for longer, whilst getting in and out of a position within a few minutes means that you take the pressure off yourself quite quickly. And I think that's something that can't be underestimated, because trading success is very much reliant in terms of the resources you have, but also how mentally strong you are as well. And as a trader, you want to be reducing the impact of your mindset or the stress on your mindset as much as possible. So having the ability to get in a trade and maybe 10 minutes later, half an hour later, 1 hour later, you've exited for a profit, means that you're now physically out of that trade, and the stress has now been dismissed or reduced somewhat, because you no longer have risk on the table. So that point cannot be underestimated. To be able to take a profit in a shorter period of time is great, because it reduces the impact of the stress on our mindset, which we know, every trader knows, can cause detrimental habits that cause you to interfere and act on your trades in a negative way.
Definitely, it's true. You very much sort of try to, as an end of day trader, I know you shouldn't, but you do. It's just natural instinct. When you see the markets moving, you think, is it going to pull back? Am I going to lose some profits? So you'll end up micromanaging your trades, where, again, as you say, based off an economic event, the way you teach the executing the trade on the course, you just place the trade, and within the hour, it's pretty much run its course. Yes, I know if you hang on, you can get further pips and stuff. And when I look at some of my trades, if I traded with hindsight, I'd have made 2-3 times the returns. But at the end of the day, it's having that, that confidence that the trade's run, it's moved, it's made your profit, it's there, it's on the table. best thing is often is to take it or to stop up close and let the trade run, but it's a free trade on the table. So there's different things you can take, but I just love the way that you can bank the money, you take it off the table, and it's there for you.
Yeah, absolutely. And there's no harm in holding positions for longer, for several days. The only concern I have is because, as you've now found, when you've moved from your technicals to your fundamentals, you're seeing the huge reactions you get to certain news events, likes of interest rate decisions, the likes of QE programs, the likes of just language from the central bank. You've seen how much of an impact they can have on the market. So the longer you hold a position, the longer or the more news events that trade has to go through.
Yes. Yeah.
And the more likelihood there is of that trade being impacted negatively, which causes you to move from a profitable position to a negative position, or even being stopped out by a news event. So the longer you hold a position, the more news events you have to navigate through, which makes things a little bit more challenging and tricky. But if you use an event to trade off and you're in and out, you've got nothing in the way of that particular trade. So that's where it becomes an advantage as well, to take profits quite quickly.
Definitely. No, I agree fully. And that's what I do. I mean, like you say, it's always nice everyone can make a lot of money hindsight trading, but it's always nice to have your money banked there and then. And that's what I like. It's literally the trade's on, and then within an hour the trade's off. That's what I found.
And will there always be another trade just around the corner once you come out of one?
Yeah,
absolutely.
Definitely.
Like we saw with the Euro this week, is the actual ECB announcement created some bearish sentiment on the Euro on Thursday. And then on Friday, there was still some opportunities to jump back into that trade as well. So banking profits is probably one of my biggest challenges, because I always seem to come out far too early. But I'd rather be a trader that has banked profits and is looking for another opportunity, rather than one that's scratching your head going, why did I leave that? Why did I leave profits on the table and end up taking a loss?
Definitely. I mean, it was a great trade as well. Obviously, I wasn't there at the time; I was at work. But at the end of the day, on the night time, you could come back, you could look through the charts, you could look for a technical entry on a pullback, and you could still get into a trade. And I mean, that's what I looked for myself to enter a trade. So the event had gone, but because it was such a strong sentiment and it was still moving a lot, then there was still the opportunities of an evening to get in on that trade, looking for a good, like you say, looking your technical skills, getting for a good entry on a pullback, and then still taking the sentiment on that trade.
And do you find, knowing about the fundamentals, like you just said there, you very much honed in on whatever currency pairs which are moving the most based on the fundamentals? Have you found that that's helped you become more time efficient with your trading, rather than looking through 100 pairs looking for technical entries? Actually understanding about the fundamentals goes, actually, there's no point looking at any other currency pairs because the Kiwi is massively weak today. So I'm going to concentrate on that because there's solid reasons why that weakness should continue, or there's strength on the pound, or there's strength on the dollar.
Definitely, it sets you up straight away. When you're holding, you know when you come to your chart of the night to what you should be focusing on. If you just had some great moves, because say the CAD's weak because of what's come out on the oil inventories, you'll just look then to see if there's a technical setup based on, say, buying pound CAD based on that news, because they've just had a dire result come out. So then you can trade effectively, and it can give you that confidence that based on, yes, you've got a fundamental reason, which is the key driver, and then you've got your end of day technical setup, so you can just run to profit with the trade, and it gives you that conviction to take the trade.
Fantastic. Now, a thing that's raised quite often is I get a few traders going that they don't feel that the fundamentals, or they've been told that the fundamentals and the news are not important for their trading and they should ignore them. Now that you've made that transition from technical to fundamental and now combining the two together, what would you say to traders that have been told ignore the fundamentals?
Yeah, I mean, I've got my own perspectives of why certain learning providers say would choose to say that the fundamentals aren't the way forwards. But for me personally, having played them out, coming from a technical background to doing fundamentals, for me, the consistency and the returns and the results, it's got to be fundamentals. So any trader who says don't apply fundamentals, I think I'd like to see what their results are, because I don't personally feel they'd have the same level of consistency as a fundamental trader. And ultimately, when you look at the knowledge of what the banks trade, if you ask a bank trader, are you a technical trader or are you a fundamental trader? I think that itself speaks for itself, really. They'd come out and say that they're fundamentals all the way.
Yeah. And like you, I understand why certain people are apprehensive, or companies are apprehensive to talk to people about the fundamentals, because they can sometimes see a little bit intimidating, a little bit scary. What would your thoughts on that would be? Because you maybe came into thinking about the news war as it seems a bit complicated, it's a bit intimidating, but you've obviously gone through and you spent several months now really honing your skills on the fundamentals. What would you say to people that are a little bit worried or intimidated by the fundamentals?
Well,
Is it as scary as it seems?
No, definitely not. I mean, I think from a fundamental trader, I think you've got to, and this is to be, for me personally, looking at it, if you want to survive and become very good in the market, and you've got to have a passion. There's got to be a big why. I know you've mentioned it in one of your videos before. There's got to be a why to your trading, and it's that why that'll allow you and spend the time putting the hours in to get into the fundamental mindset. Because technical courses are often, and this is no disregard to technical systems, but they will look for flashing lights. So anybody can be trained to be a technical trader. If the light flashes buy, you click the buy. If it flashes the sell, you click the sell. So from that perspective, technicals seem to be the easiest way forwards, where fundamentals, you've got to hone in, you've got to have that passion, you've got to have a drive behind yourself. Yeah. And ultimately, that's what you need as a fundamental trader. But is it harder? Is it more difficult? No, in fact, it's a lot less difficult, in my opinion, because it gives you confidence. Your results don't blow up based off an unknown event. You think to yourself, well, why has that technical system just failed for whatever reason? It just has. On a fundamental, you know exactly why and why the market moved in that manner. So for me, if you want to be passionate about trading, if you really want to be consistent and get the results, then you put in a bit of time to read about the fundamentals, to understand the fundamentals, pays dividends. And to be honest, Tom, when you look at your course, you've only got to read the emails that come out, and that will really boost you up to finding out what the fundamentals are about, and the way you come across. You're like your own personal analyst in the market, so you sort of spoon feed the information, and then it just allows us, when you sort of progress, to go on and then explore the markets and get your own little bit of information. But the information you provide sort of does the work for you as well, to be honest.
Fantastic. So that leads me nicely into the next point. Is you've just touched upon the daily mentoring, because you're subscribed to that as well, and that's something that I'm very, very proud of, because this is, as you say, it's like me putting myself in the form of an analyst, a bank analyst, where I'm sending out 3 reports every single day and then doing a summary, in detailed market summary video every single weekend, because I feel that it's important that you guys tune into the markets. Yes, it's not spending all day every day at your charts reading about news, but it's doing a little bit of reading every single day, so that you tune into the markets and you know what is moving the markets, which currency pairs are the strongest and the weakest, etc., and that a lot of the hard work is essentially done for you. So how has the daily mentoring specifically helped your trading, alongside the theoretical side in the course? How has the daily support helped you in your trading?
Well, definitely. What it does in the beginning, as a new fundamental trader, you sort of point us in the right direction. So because you'll look at what's moved, you'll do the evening wrap, you'll do the daily wraps, you'll put everything out there. So ultimately, you're sort of spoon feeding that knowledge in the early days, and you'll still continue to provide that information. But for me, it just gives me the threads then to follow and to take it and to get on even more. But so for someone who just needs to be more effective with the time, the mentoring service that you provide is more than enough to be able to become successful at doing what they do. If you want to take it to the next level and really sort of progress yourselves further, it's then obviously doing what we do now, where we work closely together this way. And that's really, for me, that's really fine-tuned my trading now, and it's ultimately giving me the results that I want. So there's no way you can underestimate the level of support that you give through those daily mentoring emails. And the weekend wrap, again, it's a fantastic thing just to yes, they're nice detailed videos that go on, and I think, to be honest, they're great in terms of the content that's shared there, and I think anyone who watches them would think it's worth its weight in gold, to be honest.
Fantastic. So a very obvious question that many people will ask is, has the course learnings and the mentoring translated into real profits? So like physical cash, because you've obviously talked about your consistency improving, but has that translated into real profits? And how have the results been going for you as a comparison to what you were doing prior to us working together? Obviously not looking for physical monetary amounts, but just in general, how have the results been?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, with my technical trading before, yes, I would get a nice curve of getting some nice results. I would get some good positive wins, but it'd be like 2 steps forward and 3 back, and then 1 step forward, and then you'd question yourself, why did that fail? What happened there? But with fundamentals, it's been a perfect, like as we discussed what it would be. It's literally a nice, steady, chart of climbing up there from a small return and it's now progressing there to a very nice return for me. So yeah, it's definitely proved real results.
And you mentioned that in regards to your success ratio, that's been pretty high.
Yeah.
Because that's something that can't be underestimated. I know I recently put a blog out talking about how a success rate of your strategy is very, very important, because if you're losing quite a lot, that's going to chip away at your motivation, at your determination, at your confidence, at your belief. Whilst if you have a higher success rate, that's going to do the complete opposite. It's going to build your belief, build your confidence, build your motivation. So you mentioned that your success rate has been pretty high.
Yeah, that's definitely. I mean, from my technicals, I was getting some nice returns. I was getting some good results. But then, like I say, you could just drop back. But with what I do now on the fundamentals, it's a positive result. I mean, like I say, I've had very, very few negative trades since I've been doing the fundamental trading. And I know you curse me for it when I say that. You'll say there will be one around the corner. But to be honest, it's just been win after win after win. And I've had like strings of 14 wins in a row, and then I haven't had a loss. I've had one where a trade plan just didn't come out, so I just didn't buy into the market or sell into the market. So for me, it's just been result win after win after win. So great.
Yeah, I think that's wonderful to hear. It's absolutely brilliant, because that's most important to me, is that the physical. The students and the clients are starting to see a real return on their investment, and that's really, really good to hear. And I think the approach of the strategy taught in the course is all about, even with the trades that don't quite work out, they probably end up in a small profit, break even, or a small loss. It's very, very rare to hit the full 1% loss on a trade. So that meaning that even if you do have a bit of a bad patch, it's not going to really translate into a very damaging loss. Whilst with the good trades, they're going to generate you your 50, your 80, your 100 pips quite quickly to more than cover any losing trades that we have.
Definitely, no, that'd be great. I mean, like I say, I've had some very nice positive wins, and yes, I haven't, like yourself, I haven't let them run. I haven't kept them going for days and days, because I looked at one trade, and with hindsight trading, you could have made like a 4% return because it carried on running for literally days after. But for me, it was that conviction of getting in, placing the trade and taking the results. And like you said, you don't have to navigate around what could potentially be other negative news events coming out to sort of fluctuate and alter the direction of your trade. So for me, it's that getting in and getting out straight away and taking a real profit.
Fantastic. And what has been your best trade to date? Doesn't necessarily have to be the return that you got, but could have been maybe the speed that you made your profit in, or whatever. Is any standout trades that you've had recently that you can tell us about?
Yeah, basically, I sold the pound US dollar and I sold the pound Aussie, and that was off the back of obviously an economic event. And the pound dollar, I took 0.5% on that one, and that run to 50 minutes. And I was looking at 1% across the board, because that's what I was just trying for on this day, because I knew time was against me. It was a during day trade, but I've got to be elsewhere. And then when I hit 0.5% on both trades and took a 1%, I closed both trades down, and that's what I aimed for. But only if I'd have left the Aussie pound trade run, I think it ran on for four days, so it would have been something like a 4% return on that single trade. So for me, yeah, that's been a real nice trade.
Yeah, and I think the most important thing is that you don't necessarily, it's not the size of a winning trade, it's the consistency in a number of winning trades over a month, 6 months, 12 months. That's the most important thing, and that's clearly what you're seeing since you've really started to hone your skills on the fundamental side of things.
Definitely. I mean, it's just all about consistency. And it's the consistency that's giving me that conviction to place trades, take trades now, and it's what's given me that sort of. Before with technicals, it was a case of, as you know, I always wanted to move into becoming a full-time trader, and that's my main passion, that's my main drive for what I'm doing this for. And then looking at technicals, it's like, well, you could be there trading one day and you could end up blowing up quite a few trades, but with the fundamentals, it's now giving me that consistency. So it's really giving me that, yes, I can now, move on from becoming just a retail trader into what could be the same style trader as a bank, to be honest, and becoming a full-time trader doing it.
Amazing. Okay, so final question is what would be your advice? Just a couple of points of advice to those traders who are currently in a similar position to what you were before we started working together, i.e., having inconsistent results. Those that are struggling with their trading and are a little despondent and not sure where to go from here. What advice would you give to them from your own perspective?
Well, I'd definitely say to follow everything that you say on your blog, because I mean you give a lot of information out there for free, and you can trade a lot. A lot of the information that you give there can get you up to sort of speed with how to do trading. But then if you want to really take your trading to the next level, then I would definitely subscribe to the Learn to Trade course. And ideally, if you can really go that next step, is get onto the one-to-one mentoring program, because it will give you consistency in your results. And you know, it literally does what it says. It will provide you that consistency. And that's the holy grail of every trader. Every trader wants consistency in the results. So it will demystify any black magic. It will remove purely just thinking, why did technicals blow up for no reason? It will give you that clear conviction to place trades, and you'll get that return. So I just think it's fantastic. And I've always, as you know, I've already recommended people to your course, and they're getting the similar results. So I would say to anyone out there, just, bite the bullet, go for it, and it'll speak for itself.
Amazing, fantastic. That's absolutely wonderful. And you've touched upon your future trading goals. You say that you want to be a full-time trader, so that's wonderful to hear as well. I've obviously personally been on that journey, having moved from full-time marketing role to a full-time trader, so I know it's possible, and I'm seeing huge leaps and bounds in your trading performance. So I'm sure it won't be much longer before you can be a full-time trader and start to realize that, and give you anything else that you want from your trading journey as well. Okay, cool. So we're going to wrap up there, but just to finish, really, I just want to just point out that it's important to point out that Paul's success hasn't been a fluke. It hasn't been lucky markets. It's been down to his commitment, dedication, eagerness to learn. I've not known someone so eager to learn, asking me questions every single day, and a single-mindedness to succeed. And I think it works both ways. Yes, I can bang on all day about how proud I am of my course and the mentoring, but I can lead a horse to water, but I can't force it to drink. However, if I can work with traders who are eager to learn and are prepared to put the work in, then I believe that they can get to where they want to be with their trading. And Paul has shown and achieved some fantastic results in several months. So it hasn't taken that long for him to get up and running and up to speed with the fundamental side of things. So he's proof in the pudding. I'm going to look to do more of these interviews going forward, because I've got several other traders doing incredibly well. I want to share their success, and obviously help to inspire you guys more. But I'm going to wrap up there. If you have any specific questions, I actually haven't asked Paul if he'd be okay with this, but Paul, would you be okay if anyone has any specific questions for you, for me to just forward them on to you?
Definitely, that'd be fine. Yeah, no problem. I mean, like you say, with trading, the first thing is you want to get that information, that knowledge, and definitely it's a journey for everyone. So I'm more than willing to help. Awesome. Help people out there, definitely. That's
brilliant. I really appreciate that. So any questions, send them in to myself at tom@springboardyourtrading.com, and I can forward them on to Paul and make sure those get answered. But hopefully you found this interesting, and no doubt we'll speak soon on the next video, and I'll catch up with you soon. And Paul, thank you so much for your time. I really, really appreciate it, and we'll catch up soon, no doubt.
Brilliant. Cheers. Thanks, Tom.
Cheers.